Middle Podcast, the podcast dedicated to the music, movies, and culture of Generation X.
What is up, slackers, and welcome to another episode of the Stuck in the Middle podcast. I am your host, Jason Eck, and just to get a couple of things out of the way. So, first and foremost, on the health front, just to give you an update, going for the MRI tomorrow. It got moved up yet again. Apparently, there are different types of MRI machines. I was unaware of this, and apparently I needed to have what is called a 3T. A 3T is apparently a higher resolution, stronger magnet, but thankfully, a larger opening. So I don't know about you, but MRIs, I remember the first time I ever had one, I was insistent that I was not, in fact, in any way, shape, or form claustrophobic until I went into that little metal tube and I was like, whoa, stop, take me out, backed me up. I'm like, I'm just going to need a minute here before I can go ahead and do this. And I needed to kind of collect myself and said, okay, shove me back down in the little tube. So thankfully, this is a slightly larger, I guess a 70 millimeter opening, and it is able to accommodate individuals up to 500 pounds. So shouldn't feel too cramped because I'm not 500 pounds. So that is tomorrow, and I will have more answers. Had my first doctor's visit yesterday. Unpleasant experience. I will tell you. A lot of poking and prodding, and yeah, it was not great and definitely had some after effects for a few hours later, which was also no fun. But nevertheless, I am just one day closer to some form of answer about what the next steps are, because typically they get the MRI results back relatively quickly and find out if surgical intervention is necessary. I'd like to say that it was not inevitable, but like Thanos, it is inevitable. Just highly likely, just based upon the doctor's visit and kind of shooting the shit about that with the doctor and some of the different options and what we're potentially looking at. Yeah. So still on a antibiotic, nothing too heavy duty, easy enough to manage and digest. And, it's just, I feel run down is really what it comes down to. I just feel like things are not exactly right because they're not, and thankfully not currently a painful situation, which is nice. Less so about pain, more about just persistent discomfort, which is a whole hell of a lot better than the kind of doubling over type of pain that is usually what I face when my Crohn's is battling me. So anyway, that's out of the way. Another thing that you might have noticed, particularly as you're listening to this podcast, you might notice that there's been a little bit of a rebrand of the podcast graphics. I'm 2 years in, and as I've talked about the last couple of weeks, I've been contemplating differences and changes and how I can better manage my time, but also make the podcast itself more, I guess, enjoyable, accessible, or maybe more wide open to other viewpoints, open to, I guess, a larger audience, which is what I want to do, and know some of the work that I have to put in to do that. So this was meant to be a little bit of a stimulant for my mind and my creativity and kind of getting things started and moving in that direction. And I think part of it also does, I think it has to be related to the fact that I'm dealing with this health issue and the potential for what that might mean for quality of life and how things are moving forward and what is my long-term prognosis, like those kind of things. And those are the times where I tend to go ahead and invest in some kind of small or major change. Now, this is just kind of how I do things. I've talked about reinvention on the podcast, particularly, in different forms over the past couple of weeks, but, even talking about like different, clicks as I did last week and just in general, the Whatever Wednesday, talking about some things like that. And I'll be honest, I look at things seasonally as well. And I don't normally do this. I haven't invested in anything other than like sweatshirts and t-shirts, and I do like a good summer tank or a workout tank. And, I haven't put any real time, thought, or effort into my professional presentation. And I do have a professional white collar job. And I've certainly let myself go, I think, a little bit in that regards too. And part of that has been going through the sobriety process and kind of coming to a new equilibrium in my life. And part of that was why I was doing the fitness. And I'm hoping to get back to that sooner than later. It might be a few weeks before I can do anything again. And I keep all that in mind. And this is how I tend to distill things down. So I went ahead and just spent a shit ton of money on clothes. Not something I normally do, but it's work clothes. I mean, a couple of things that are more casual that are thrown in there, but it goes a long way in how you feel about yourself and how you present to the world. And I remember my father-in-law, may he rest in peace, but one of the key things that he talked about his own father. So I did meet him. They were older and having health issues. So this is my wife's paternal side grandparents. So I never really got to know them at the height of their health and being fully in their own faculties. I got to know her maternal side a little bit better. And, I saw them more often, but they were also in a different place in their lives, but also in their health, I guess you could say. But one of the things that was said at his eulogy, at his funeral, so the eulogy that was given, and one of my father-in-law's brothers got up there and talked about how it was such a weird phenomenon to be like, oh, dad's not going to make it to this sporting event or whatever. So he used golf as an example. And golf is played obviously in warm weather. And he goes, and you're out there and you've just, had a nice drive and you're walking down onto the green, you're getting closer to the hole, and you see out in the wooded area a man in a three-piece suit. And oh, there's dad. So I asked my father-in-law, I'm like, so three-piece suit, middle of a, late spring day, what's the deal? And he had mentioned the fact that this is his philosophy. This was my wife's grandfather's philosophy. I don't dress like this for myself. I dress for the people that I do business with, the people looking at me, that I owe it to them to present myself a certain way. Now, we have changed generationally in many ways where sometimes I'm less inclined to be as, if someone's too slick, right? You might look at them and go, this person's a salesperson and they're just trying to sell me. Now, you can have someone who's very put together, but doesn't have airs about them, which is where I think that when we've gotten into this concept of the maybe perhaps too casual of an environment. I love hoodies and jeans. I do. And during the summer, even at work, I can wear that. Except this year, instead of wearing all of the hoodies, I have been cognizant of what is my presentation. And I'm still wearing jeans. I'm still wearing kicks. And I, have just been wearing these like 3/4 zip, and I think it's a little bit better presentation. I know. What is all this existential bullshit that you're talking about, Jason? Well, it is what it is. It's kind of where I'm at. So I bought a whole bunch of stuff for work, for lack of a better term, slacks and Oxford button downs. I prefer the Oxford button down because it's got a little bit more of a casual style. It's a business casual thing. Anyway, I don't have a coupon code to share with you because I don't have any sponsors like that, but it's True Classic, all their stuff. I bought my wife bought me a shit ton of stuff for my birthday, and it all fits very well, looks very good. It's masked some of the extra weight that I've been carrying around my midsection. And she'd also bought me a couple of more formal pieces, which I said, holy shit, this looks pretty good. I feel pretty good. Maybe I should invest a little bit in myself. So these are some of the things that have been going on in my head, in my mind, as I'm trying to figure out what this next phase. Honestly, turning 50, year and a half sober, dealing with health issues, having lost 25 pounds and trying to do the right things for my body, still smoking. Yeah, it's an interesting time of life. and certainly feeling as though it's more than just a crossroads, because at 50, there is literally far more time behind me than there is ahead of me, and I need to prepare for what they say is the golden age. It's going to be here before you know it, and got to be cognizant of how I exit this world. And I think there's a lot that goes into that. And how am I leaving the world behind me? What am I leaving in my place? What good have I done for the world, if anything? And ultimately, right now, my contribution to the world has been my children, and seeing them continue to grow into fine young people is right now my legacy. Completely unrelated to that, it is family related, and I'll get into our topic in just a minute. I popped out onto Ancestry.com, and my sister and I had been working separately on kind of some family trees, and I kind of hit a brick wall, and then I stopped really paying attention to it, but she continued to do some work. So this is an interesting thing, because in my family, on my mother's side, particularly my grandmother's side, so my maternal side, there was always this talk that we were cousins, however many generations removed, of a founding father by the name of Benjamin Franklin. Now, my stepdad has always scoffed at this, going, everyone in New England says they're related to some founding father, and it's always Benjamin Franklin. Always Benjamin Franklin. Blah, blah, blah. And he kind of dismissed it out of hand. So no shit, my 9th great-grandmother, 9 generations, by the name of Bathsheba Folger, married a man by the name of Joseph Pope Jr. And what's so interesting is that I'm in Massachusetts, and where I work in Massachusetts is in the greater Salem area, Salem, Mass., which is where these folks resided. Well, Bathsheba married a gentleman by the name of Joseph Pope Jr., who on his genealogical pages, he is listed as Joseph, Salem witch trial accuser Pope Jr. I've never seen this on any other family tree information, any other genealogical information where a nickname, a negatively connotated nickname, is added into the actual person's biography. So anyway, I tell my wife this, and I'm like, so Bathsheba Folger is the maternal aunt of one Benjamin Franklin. And she goes, are you sure? I guess you got to look up, what's his mother's name. Sure enough, Bathsheba was the sister of Abia Folger. So anyway, turns out completely related. And from where I work, about 20 minutes away, apparently there's a whole collection of family heirlooms of the Pope family, one of which went for $2 million at auction, so that the Peabody Essex Museum could acquire this ornate box of some sort. So anyway, I got to go and check it out. So enough about me and my crazy week, and not even week, just life and just interesting tidbits and whatnot. So let's get into the topic. If you pressed play on the podcast, you know that this is about one-hit wonders. That's right, but in particular, 80s one-hit wonders. Now, we've talked about a couple of these before, if only because we went over the charts of many of the years of the 80s. But I think it's also interesting how this concept of the one-hit wonder can be applied. Because nowhere on this list, and it's a pretty far-reaching list, and it's broken down essentially along genre lines, but nowhere does it mention perhaps the most famous one-hit wonder, which, of course, a one-hit wonder is someone who's had an actual top charting hit. Now, when I say top charting, I'm usually meaning a top 10. It has to be, somewhere either all the way at the top or certainly within that top 10 of a given year. So the Grateful Dead, they're the Grateful Dead, right? They're legends. They're absolute legends. But solely by virtue of having a hit song, they only technically had one, and that was Touch of Grey. Now, Touch of Grey, let's see, that came out, I want to say 87? Let's see. Probably should have pulled it up beforehand. 87. Hot damn. I love it when my brain works. So, 1987, Touch of Grey is, the song reached the top 10, Billboard's Hot 100, peaking at number 9, and reached number 1 on the mainstream rock tracks, and the only song by the band ever to do so on both charts. So technically, this legendary band with a huge following still would only be considered a one-hit wonder. Touch of Grey reached number 9. Touch of Grey is the band's only recording to ever reach the top 40. Top 40. That's mind-blowing to me. I've never been a Grateful Dead fan, but to think of like, was it Casey Jones? What's that? Riding that train, high on cocaine. That one, like, how is that not a hit? And Shakedown Street is a banger. But anyway, this list of one-hit wonders, here we go. So under the category of new wave one-hit wonders, we have 99 Luftballons by Nena. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Now, what's interesting about this list of songs is that it very much transports me to good old-fashioned Rollerport 91, which was the roller rink in Meriden, Connecticut. Later, it became an Ames, again, a New England chain, Northeast chain of discount retailer before there were like seemingly Walmarts on every street corner. It was like in my town, it was Kmart, it was Ames, Bradley's, Caldor, Ames, Zayre, and I know I'm missing one. But anyway, so yeah, the roller rink. These are all roller rink songs. Mickey by Tony Basil. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Great song. You hear it come on, instantly memorable. One of my daughter's favorite songs, and in fact, it is the ringtone for when she calls me, which is never. Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners. There is something so unique in really how that song changes. Like it starts out as one thing, and then you have that whole to-ra-lu-ra-lu. It's just so interesting in the construction of the song, but absolutely a timeless hit. Now, this one's interesting because are they really only a one-hit wonder? But by virtue of saying, hey, top 40, Devo with Whip It. I have a weird relationship with Devo because, I mean, I get what they were trying to do, and Mark Mothersbaugh is brilliant, but that never really did it for me. Even back then, it was a big hit. It was on, and everyone liked to gesture and do all the, and you whip it good, like doing the voice, but never really caught me. Le Mans with Never Ending Story. Mediocre song, mediocre movie. Don't hate me. Another one of those Gen X movies that I'm just kind of like meh about. You know, I mean, mind you, it gives us, Atreyu, and it's just never my favorite. That's all there is to it. This next one, my kids will also tell you it's a great freaking song, because it is. Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. If you don't get a feeling of walking on sunshine while listening to this song, I don't know what to tell you, but that is such a feel-good recording. They knew what they had when they wrote it, and man, that was on. You would flip on one station, and the next song would be like an ad or some crap, and you turn it. Walking on Sunshine was going to be on another channel. I mean, what year was that? I'm going to put that at 85? 1985, Walking on Sunshine. Holy cow. I'm 2 for 2 tonight. But yeah, that's a great song. So next, a song that became super popular amongst millennials because of all things Grand Theft Auto. And I'm talking about I Ran So Far Away by A Flock of Seagulls. I'm going to get this one wrong, but I'm going to say 82 or 83. 82, hell yeah, bro. 3 for 3. I have joked when my sons in particular have had some interesting hairstyles. It's become, I think, a joke, but okay, Flock of Seagulls. Certainly a look. Odd to see them in later years still rocking the hairstyles, but when the look is so much a part of the persona, I think you have to go for it. That's like seeing Robert Smith at like 60 some odd years old if he didn't have makeup and black hair. It's the same thing. It's part of the gimmick. It's part of the look. I totally get it. But really, that's the only song I remember. If some of you have listened to whole Flock of Seagulls records and there are other songs, I would love to hear what your thoughts are of, hey, you should listen to this. It's even better than I Ran So Far Away. But yeah, Grand Theft Auto. So now we have what's called the 80s synth pop wonder hits. Okay. Now, I think I disagree with this next one. If the category of the one hit wonder, do they really define what they're using? Because I feel like this artist had another big hit, right? Let me make sure I have the song right. Yeah. Oh, it wasn't a huge hit in the States. No, see, I knew it. Okay. Next on the list is The Safety Dance by Men Without Hats. Not a one-hit wonder. Because they have Pop Goes the World, Pop Goes the World, which was a top 20 song. Your list is bullshit, Sirius XM, unless you're saying it has to be in the top 10 or the top 5. But I call bullshit on that because Pop Goes the World is a fun song. So, but yeah, The Safety Dance, that video, I don't know, it's good stuff. And that song is, classic. Next, we have Tainted Love by Soft Cell. Dun, 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 dun. It's good shit. It just is. It's also one of those songs that has a little bit of a mashup there with some of that Motown feel. And let's see, the Supremes, right? What is this? Gloria Jones had the original version of the song. Interesting. I don't know that I've ever heard it. I might have to listen to it. So bad on me for not knowing that. Because I thought it was known for their whole little... Yeah, the 12-inch single was a medley transitioning to a cover of the Supremes' Where Did Our Love Go? Yeah, that's the version that I think of. And if I didn't hear them together, like that whole transition from Tainted Love into Where Did Our Love Go, I would feel cheated. It's like when they cut off the guitar solo to Purple Rain on the radio. You shouldn't do that. That's bullshit. Next, we have certainly a one-hit wonder, certainly one that is played around Halloween time regularly, even to this day. Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell, with the refrain, the chorus, if you will, being sung by one Michael Jackson. Somebody's Watching Me. Huge hit. I remember the first time I heard it was actually, I think, at Kmart, where my grandmother worked. We were shopping or something, and this song came over the speaker. It's like, what is this craziness? Such a weird song, but it did invoke the kind of paranoia and kind of unease And you didn't really get that, in my opinion, as much with pop. Well, I mean, I guess it did. There are a lot of songs that worked that kind of like subversive line of trying to create a vibe of creepiness or unease. But I don't know. There was something really about it that captured me. And I was like, let's see, I want to say this was 84, 83. Yeah. I mean, I was like 9 years old. It definitely had a little bit of a creep factor that went with it that I think made it very effective. But can you think of anything else that Rockwell has done? Not me. Oh boy. This one. What is the name of really the primary Peter? You probably know where I'm going with this. Pete Burns, lead singer of Dead or Alive, with the hit You Spin Me Round Like a Record. I feel like they had another hit, though. Didn't they? Two of the band's singles reached the U.S. top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. You Spin Me Around Like a Record, number 11, and Brand New Lover, number 15 in March 1987. I don't know. I can't really consider them a one-hit wonder. I remember the second song, obviously not as much, but I also feel like they had another later single that they'd released sometime later on, maybe 5-6 years later, that brought them back to the charts. But anyway, yeah, I mean, finding your list suspect here, Sirius XM. I mean, you're a radio. You're extraterrestrial radio. You should know this. Very strange. Next, we have Tarzan Boy by Baltimora, which, if you're a wrestling fan, know came back into vogue for a little bit as the theme music for Jungle Boy Jack Perry, the son of Luke Perry of 90210 fame, who came out to do Whoa, 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 Whoa. You know the song if you heard it. It's quite the crowd pleaser and kind of fun to sing. That's really the only thing I know of Baltimora. Let's see what else they might have had. I don't think they had anything else, though, other than what can only be described, I guess, as a gimmick single. So they're originally from Italy, and they had a follow-up hit, Woody Boogie. I have no idea what that is. Definitely didn't hear that one before. So yes, firmly a one-hit wonder. Now, here is a slice of 80's. Now, I have been told by many. Now, I will admit, I had this on cassette, but I don't think I ever really listened to many of the other songs on there. I don't think singles had come out yet. So unless you had a 45, I think that was the only way that you were getting just the single. I did listen to the album a few times, but I'm talking about Take On Me by Aha. Now, of course, the video was all over MTV and it was considered, I guess, somewhat of a revolutionary in the animation that style that it did, which I think was basically just rotoscoping. But yeah, Hunting High and Low. You know what? I feel like they got another minor hit off of this album. But this is saying not really. But wasn't Hunting High and Low itself one of the songs on the record? Steve Barron directed a revolutionary rotoscoping animation music video, which took 6 months to create using professional artists. Yeah, I could have sworn Love Is the Reason. I don't remember that song. I should just go and listen to that a whole album again. It's been a long time. The Sun Always Shines on TV. Yeah, the songs aren't ringing a bell. Like I said, I listened to that album. I owned it, but I think I pretty much just listened to the single over and over again. Oh, boy. Okay. So I have always wanted to do a cover of this next song. but I needed to have a female vocalist, in my opinion. And I remember one time I was dating a girl who had a killer voice. We talked about maybe recording some music together. And Berlin, Take My Breath Away. It already has the structure, in my opinion, to have been a perfect, like that late 90s, early 2000s, kind of like goth metal thing that, imagine like Typo Negative, but fronted by a female singer. That's kind of what I pictured. I guess I also was somewhat inspired by Life of Agony's version of Don't You Forget About Me. And I just had this feeling, this vibe of that song. Do, 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 doom, doom. It could be dark. It could be heavy. I've always wanted to do it. Never did. But yeah, Take My Breath Away is an amazing song from a mediocre movie. I've already stated this on the podcast. Top Gun Maverick is superior to the original Top Gun, which was nothing but a chick flick with airplanes. Airplanes, they're not airplanes, they're jets. They're fighter jets. In the Navy, it's the best jet. Okay, settle down, Poindexter. We get it. You loved your Dolby surround sound when that first came out in video. We get it. Anyway, soundtrack rules, Berlin rules, that song rules. Okay, next. 80s dance and funk one-hit wonders. Whew. This one I remember. This is 80s? Oh, this must have been like 81, 82, right? Really? You couldn't get this right. They're killing me right now. This article on SiriusXM is absolutely killing me right now. Okay, so it got released in 1980. Okay, the single came out in 80, but the album of which it's from came out in 1979. That's why I was skeptical. This is right on the cusp, so fine, I'll allow it, SiriusXM. Funky Town by Lips Incorporated. It's got that driving rhythm, that do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. How else do you do it? Sorry, best I could do at the moment. Great song, super catchy, was on the radio a ton. I think it has become a staple at weddings. At least I've heard it at weddings. Fun song, and good for you, Lips Inc. I thought this next one on the list, had another hit, so I'm looking it up as we're going along. Okay, only had one other hit, but it wasn't in the United States. And we're talking Jermaine Stewart with We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off to Have a Good Time. No. Super catchy song. Let's see, what year is that? We'll put it at 80, 85, 86. Oh, I've lost the touch. But yeah, that was a big hit, kind of a fun song, but really very much of its time, in my opinion. I think that sounds a little bit more dated than some of these other songs that we've just talked about so far. I will admit, I don't remember this next one. I would probably know it hearing it. And some would be like, oh my gosh, cringe, they don't know what that is. Last Night, a DJ Saved My Life by In Deep. I know every other song on this list. I don't know this one at all. Like, this is not ringing a bell at all. I'm going to have to look at it later, take a listen to it. Don't know it, can't speak to it. The next one, I think, is well known by everyone, has been parodied. It's been used in all types of movies and TV shows. It's been kind of alluded to be a kind of on the nose kind of song. We're talking about the Weather Girls with It's Raining Men. Weather Girls, Raining Men, get it? And it's Raining Men. That's all I can really say about it. It certainly has a catchiness to it. not my favorite song on the list, but hey, if it came on the radio, I'm not sure I'd listen to it. It'd probably be funny for a minute, maybe through one chorus, and then moving on. But the next one, this can't be their only hit. Oh my gosh, I listened to this song a million times. I must have had this on the single then. We are talking about Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge. I thought it was El DeBarge. Is that the name of the lead singer? El DeBarge. Yeah. Mark DeBarge, James DeBarge, El DeBarge, Buddy DeBarge, and Randy DeBarge. What a great song. I'm not sure this one holds up either with time, but I really, really loved that tune when it came out. Like, constantly. It was one of those songs that I wanted to sing all the time. And I remember my buddy Matt and I, we would sing outside to get some coins together. People would throw us a little bit of money, do a little dance, little song and dance routine. It was a lot of it was New Edition. Once in a while, bust out a little El DeBarge and then go get some Jolly Ranchers or whatever. But Rhythm of the Night, DeBarge, top notch. I think, was it El DeBarge was the one that, was it El DeBarge who was married or engaged to, was it Janet Jackson? I think that's the case. Let's see, personal lives, El DeBarge. Let's see, personal life. Oh shit, he did 13 months of a 2-year prison sentence for drug-related charges. Well, goodness. He's had 12 children by different women. Well, okay, maybe it's not L. Was it James DeBarge? Let's see. I could have sworn that one of the DeBarges, yes, James DeBarge was also known for his 1984 marriage to pop singer Janet Jackson. The marriage was annulled in 1985 due to his addiction to painkillers and sleeping pills. Wow. Okay. Well, knew that was somewhere in the databank somewhere. Oh, boy. What do you get when you cross arguably one of the greatest stand-up comics, only to become a huge movie star, and cross them with the cocaine-fueled crack daddy of them all, Rick James, crack daddy. I'm proud of myself for that one. Party All the Time by Eddie Murphy. That song was an earworm then. It's an earworm now. I can't remember the last time I heard it. I think it came up on one of the 80s playlists probably about a year ago. I mean, it ain't good, but it ain't bad. You know what I mean? It was worthy of the time of being the huge hit that it was. I want to say that's what, 85? 1985. Boom, I got it back. Anyway, huge hit, completely unexpected. Hey, Eddie Murphy's doing a record. Who's he doing it with? Rick James. Oh, that makes sense. Massive, like absolutely massive. I mean, was that number one? It was number one. I think we covered this on the 1985 episode. Did I do 1985? Anyway, I didn't even know like the rest of the songs in this album. No idea. Let's see. Party All the Time. Let's see. Written and produced by Rick James. It was the lead single from Murphy's 85 debut music album, How Could It Be? It reached number 2 on the Hot 100 for 3 weeks, behind Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie. Hey, if you're going to be kept out of the top spot, there are worse people to be stuck behind than Lionel fucking Richie. Okay. Okay. Mainstream hit. Agreed. But I wouldn't say it's their only hit. So I'm, of course, talking about the B-52s and Love Shack. But I think a lot of people would disagree that they had no other notable or memorable songs. I mean, wasn't Rome also a huge hit? Rome peaked at number 3. Seriously, bro. It was not that difficult to do a little bit of research. I'm talking both to myself and to whoever wrote this article. Like, what are you talking about? Sirius XM editor. See, they didn't even put their name against the article. You know why? Because they're embarrassed. They posted this and probably took their name off of it because they found out that they're stupid idiots. Yeah, Rome was a top 3 hit. That album was massive. And that's not even bringing up the other hit songs that they had. And of course, people are going to go back to Rock Lobster. I mean, that never made it into like high chart placement when it was first released. Yet it's still this quirky, intriguing cut from the self-titled LP should do the same for AOR pop fans, saying that it was charming. Went to number 1 in Canada. Still made it into the Hot 100 on Billboard, coming in at number 56 and top 24 in the U.S. Hot Dance Club play. Yeah, see, I don't know. Little skeptical of this list right here, got to tell you. Like, a lot of them are legitimately like one-hit wonders. I don't think there was any other song off of, let's say, Eddie Murphy's record there that did anything. But yeah, B-52's multiple strong hit singles. Excuse me. Now, this next list. Interesting. Okay. 80s reggae and ska one-hit wonders. So coming in here, we have Pass the Dutchie by Musical Youth. What a interesting song to be sung by youth. Pass the Dutchie from the, was it left-hand side? Anyway, Musical Youth. I remember them doing something. Don't they do Unconditional Love with Donna Summer? Unconditional Love. Which, yeah. I mean, I guess it's technically not theirs, but their other hits include Youth of Today, Never Gonna Give You Up, not that one, and a collaboration with Donna Summer of Unconditional Love. You want my unconditional love, kind of love I deserve, the kind I want in return. Yeah, interesting. But I guess their one true hit, at least in the United States, which is what this is predicated upon, was Pass the Dutchie. Next, we have Don't Worry, Be Happy. Now, I do think that Bobby McFerrin, for as interesting as he is, really only had the one big hit. But you have to consider that it was a cappella, and it's freaking brilliant, but also having a music video that includes, you know, Robin Williams. And, who is the other guy? I can't remember his name, but he's a very physical comic. He did some stuff with, like, Elmo and stuff on Sesame Street. But, yeah, very cool song, timeless, and also just really is upbeat and kind of a great thing. The next song, I challenge you to get into your car, turn it on, and keep your head still. Because this song is impossible to not rock down to Electric Avenue. I mean, that song is just a get in your car and drive. Your head is bopping. You cannot help yourself. The music takes control. Eddie Grant killing it with Electric Avenue. Of course, Eddie Grant was a member of another band. And I remember going and kind of digging in a little bit into his career. He was a founding member of the Equals, one of the United Kingdom's first racially mixed pop groups who were best remembered for their million-selling UK chart topper, the Grant Baby Come Back. Yeah, dude. That song is so good and absolutely a classic. There's no one, I think, that song doesn't come on and they're like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Next is another interesting one in terms of stardom abroad or in their home country versus here in the States. Because many would say that one of the most influential bands in ska music is Madness. Now, Madness really only had the one big hit here in the United States with Our House. But Madness fans will tell you, and I've never been a huge fan of the band, but I'm a big fan of ska. And you can't help but like go and listen to the bands of the 80s, like the Specials and Madness. Who else is coming around? No, they're a little bit later. Was it like Scatolites? Tons of bands that were coming out of England that were really jumping onto this like whole, what they were considering not necessarily a new form of music, but a reinvention of the classic ska. So like the whole, what's his name? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a complete blank. Laurel Aitken, right? So Laurel Aitken and like the 10 Rules of Man to Woman, the original version of Rudy, like all those kind of things were being redone and re-released for a brand new audience. And definitely Madness was one of those artists that really broke out. But you think about it, other than the horns, you almost don't really feel like Our House is really a ska song necessarily. It's just a great freaking tune. Great tune. And again, so remember, this is reggae ska or mashups of. I don't know. Did I ever really consider this song that genre? Well, Break My Stride by Matthew Wilder. Ain't nobody gonna break my stride. I mean, it's a great tune. My kids all know it. I think my daughter knows like every word to this. It's just a great song. But I mean, is it really ska? I don't know. I don't think I agree. I don't think I agree that it's ska. It's certainly ska adjacent, but still a great song. Timeless classic. Good for them. All right. So now rounding out the list. I don't know why this is considered, I guess, is it rock? Anyway, 80s rock one-hit wonders. I see a noticeable, obvious missing entry. So first we have Rock Me Amadeus by Falco. I've mentioned before, sometime on April Fool's Day, April 1st of 19, what is this? I'm going to say this is 86. No, it was even early. Holy shit. Rock Me Amadeus was 1980. Wow. Well, anyway, sometime within 81 or 82 on April Fool's Day, they played Rock Me Amadeus for an entire hour. It kept ending and restarting. No ad breaks, no DJ breaks, nothing. They just kept playing it. And they were getting calls to the radio station, and it was all, haha, April Fools. And it got to the point where, excuse me, I can tell you that my mom was like, I just got to see how this plays out at this point. I want to see how many times we're going to play it. I'm like, are you serious? Yeah, I just want to see what happens. Just so you can wait for the DJ to come on and be like, haha, April Fools, joke, joke, joke. It was just a stubbornness at that part. Just, okay, how many times are they going to keep playing this? Or is there something wrong with their equipment? Or is there something going on? And people just kind of wanted to know what was the answer. Why would they play Rock Me Amadeus for an hour straight in the morning on the radio? Now, purely as a solo artist, John Waite with Missing You. Missing You, the cover version by Tina Turner is excellent, but John Waite, of course, was a member of the Babies, as well as Bad English, where they had a huge hit, When I See You Smile, and a couple other songs. Just a classic tune, and Also one of those things that the way that it's delivered and the way that it's recorded, I ain't missing you at all. I tell myself, right? Like, isn't that how it goes? It's very much like a convincing himself that he is not missing the love of his life. Such a good tune, well performed. John Waite, kind of kick ass, kind of underrated because he wasn't like this belter in his vocal style. But tell me that song isn't an effective way to express that, hey, I ain't missing you at all. No matter what my friends might say. Like that kind of stuff. Top notch. Big fan. Next, I thought they had another hit too, but maybe not. I'm talking about I Just Died in Your Arms by Cutting Crew. The band Cutting Crew also had a song, I've Been in Love Before, which reached number 9. Seriously, XM. Seriously, XM, what have you done? Why is your list bullshit? Anyway, it is what it is. Hey, I Just Died in Your Arms. It has been parodied. It has been mocked. It has been used. It's been beloved. But so many people have used, oh, I Just Died in Your Arms. Nick Schwartzen, the comedian, just recently used it. Oh, I Just Died in Your Yard. Funny stuff. It can be used many ways, but the song itself, I think, is durable, stands the test of time. Absolute classic. Props to you, Cutting Crew. Again, not as big in the States as they were elsewhere. I've attempted to kind of go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with them, but I don't have enough to say right now. I'd only started doing that not too long ago. Only listened to a couple of songs, but In a Big Country by Big Country. Kind of a tragic ending. Lead singer committed suicide at some point. Yeah, that song is just amazing. Let's see, what was that? That was, I'm going to put this as 81 or 82, right? 83. A little bit later than I thought. Such an amazing song. Scottish rock band. Good shit. Great song. Absolutely timeless. It holds up today. I think that they were definitely contemporaries of peers for a lot of bands that were coming out of, the non-British, and it's not non-British, but like Scotland, Ireland, everyone from like a U2 to here you had Big Country in Scotland. I think that they were all very much contemporaries, and I think Big Country had the potential. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was substance abuse or mental health, but something went astray. Something went awry at some part in their rise, because it seemed like a really solid and good band with a deeper, I think, discography than most people recognize. But they only had a couple of records, right? Hold on. Let me look this up. I thought they had like 3 records. Discography. No. They had, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total records. But I think that, yeah, there's a later, 2013 was without original singer Stuart Adamson, who had committed suicide in 2001, December 16th, 2001. Yeah, I feel like I got to listen to their music. I don't know why, but I've listened to a couple of songs here or there, but never really just said, okay, we're just listening to full out album after album. Alcohol was a major problem for him, and that seems to have been his demise. Just a bummer. And then finally, again, I question whether this is truly their only hit. I feel like they had others, but I guess at this level, La Bamba by Los Lobos. Actually really solid rock band and can do a lot, but it does look like this was their only real big hit, which is just fascinating to me because they've been around since what, 1973, all exceptional musicians. And yeah, I should listen to more of Los Lobos as well. But here's a band that I noticed was missing. Because I figured that right here in this bottom list of rock one-hit wonders, but again, maybe my category and my memory is wrong. So I was thinking, Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone, Someday by Glass Tiger also reached top 10. See? So I'm not the only one, Sirius XM, who can sometimes get things wrong. But yeah, Don't You Forget About Me was a massive hit, but yeah, Someday, mid-tempo rock ballad. I vaguely recall it. I'll have to go listen to it. But some of these songs, I will admit, like, they're on a couple of playlists, and they're definitely amongst some of the greatest songs ever written. And I think that's all it takes. Once you get that one song, think about this. Devo has come and gone and done other things in their career, but Flock of Seagulls, I know at least sometimes goes out on tour. Aha still performs. I'm not sure if Berlin does. B-52s, I think, retired after, oh gosh, was it Cindy Wilson? Nope, she's still alive. Someone had passed away that was a founding member. It wasn't Kate Pearson. Yeah, I still think that they tour. I'm pretty sure they still do. Or at least occasionally. That's a band that I would think would be a Vegas residency. Let's see. Bobby McFerrin still performs. I thought Madness did a retirement tour a few years ago. Let's see. John Waite, is he still going? Oh, wow. There is a biography called John Waite, The Hard Way. Huh. But yes, it seems as though he is still touring and performing. Cool. Cutting Crew, I could not tell you. Are they still going? Let's see. Breakup, Reformation, 2020 to present. Yeah. Still touring. Good for you, Cutting Crew. Good for you. Los Lobos still performs. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because all you need is that one big song. And obviously streaming has changed how artists are paid, but residual checks continued for artists for many, many years. You'll still get paid for radio play, but obviously radio is such a lesser medium, I think, for a lot of people nowadays. So streaming not paying as well for the artists, which is why so many artists have gotten back into, oh, there's an uptick in interest in vinyl. We want to sell physical copies because they actually retain more of their earnings from that than they do on the 0.3 cents that they're getting from Spotify or what have you. But anyway, this was just a little journey down into the one-hit wonders of the 1980s. What were some of your favorites? What were some that you think might have been missing from this dodgy list from SiriusXM? Anyway, let me know. And how can you do that? You can email me at stuckinthemiddlepod@yahoo.com. You can find me on Instagram, X, and YouTube at StuckPodX. Head on over to the Facebook page, Stuck in the Middle, a Gen X podcast. Please like, comment, share, leave 5-star reviews, and most importantly, please subscribe to the podcast. So until next time, later, slackers.